Okay, now at some stage in our life we've probably all done something that we might regret a little bit, something that we thought would be possibly funny at the time, and then when we look back in retrospect suddenly realise it wasn't as good as we thought, or it didn't raise as many laughs as we thought, or it wasn't the whimsical jape that we once thought it probably would be, and everybody bowing down in complete awe at us and say, "You are the comedy kings, the legends of our time, please sign this autograph for me and turn me into a rabbit and pull me out of a hat," or whatever. A couple of days ago I spoke about TTG. Now TTG is the tech game, which is a gaming site, but TTG has a little dark side that involves, hacking lobbies, boosting lobbies. People message each other and say, "Come and see me at 5 o'clock and we'll do some terrible things together," and nobody will ever know about it apart from the thousands of people that are going to read this thread. And I found out from actually the Schwans. I remember the Schwans talking about, he goes on a lot of these sites to find out where people are going to boost, and that's where he goes and does his booster busting and things like that. So that's what I say, it was quite interesting to find that out. Anyway, going off the subject a little bit, I managed to get myself inundated with spam from people asking me to do all these wonderful and terrible things with them. Can you get me 10th? I need 10th prestige. I need Modern Warfare 3 hacks. Can you get me invisibility? Can you get me this? Can you get me that? Can you get me the other? And I kind of had to investigate it and pretend that I knew what people were talking about and say, "Where did you hear about my wonderful hack lobbies that I apparently do?" And a guy got back and said it was this TTG. Now, obviously I did a video about it, talking about this spam, and in the video I said that I think it must have been a disgruntled subscriber of mine, or somebody that didn't like me, or somebody that wanted to get some payback for maybe exposing them as a booster or a hacker or whatever. In actual fact, the truth of it wasn't as sinister as I first thought, because a couple of days ago I had a message from a guy, and he was one of my subs. And obviously, he's going to remain anonymous for the reason that he came clean and he was honest about it, but he said, "Look, Apocalypse, I just want to be completely honest with you. I go on the tech game every now and then, and I go to find out certain things about games and use it for my own general purposes in gaming. And I came across the hacking boosting section and thought it might be quite funny to put your gamer tag on there and see if it, you got any spam from it. I didn't actually realise, however, the element of spam you would get, and didn't realise how bad it would come through. I now look back on it and realise that it probably wasn't such a good idea, and I'm really, really sorry if it caused you any problems. I really hope you can forgive me. I've been a long time subscriber. Again, I'm very sorry. I hope I didn't cause you any hassle." Now, I kind of measure that out as a pretty decent character. That is the strength in somebody who's done something, thought it might be funny, and then thought it probably wasn't as funny as I thought. And to be honest with you, I messaged him back and I said, "Look, it's no harm done. It really isn't. It's not the end of the world. It didn't make me resent the entire human race, because I know there are great people in this world, and I don't just suddenly think bad of somebody because somebody posted my gamer tag on a thing. I just wondered where it come from, At least now I've got some closure. And I can say, oh, it wasn't malicious, it wasn't nasty." He did in fact come back to me with a separate message and said, "Oh, by the way, on your Twitch, there's something you can do to make people watch your past streams." And he kind of uploaded a little YouTube video for me to watch, which I really appreciated. So thank you very much for that. All is forgiven. You've totally redeemed yourself. All is very, very much forgiven. But I didn't mind that. And it's not me saying that I don't mind practical jokes. I want everybody to go to TTG and say, "Hey, Spam Apocalypse, he loves these kind of things." The industry I used to work in up until very recently, which is the building industry, that kind of shit goes on all the time. Not so much that, but, kind of practical jokes. We would regularly work in a gang of people where we would find people's trainers once they'd changed into their work boots and get a nail gun and nail gun their trainers to the floor and things like that, But one of the best practical jokes I always remember, and this is just me telling a little story. This is just us out having a few drinks, and this is me remembering an old story, and I thought I'd share it with you. Okay, picture the scene. I'm working on this site. It's in the middle of Birmingham, so it's kind of a hustly and bustly part of town, right by the Birmingham City football ground. And we're building these houses, and there are these guys who are a bunch of scaffolders who are absolute fucking animals. Now, I was young at the time. I was 17, 18. And these guys, they were aged between the ages of 18 to about 56, but they were animals. Now, let me tell you, there are tiers that occur in the building industry. You've got kind of top level, which are the scaffolders. Scaffolders are generally insane. They're normally big strapping guys, because they have to be to carry all the poles and do all the lifting. No fear, heavy drinkers, fucking crazy madmen. Following down the next tier from that, you've got the bricklayers / roofers. The more wet trades, the people who work outside, the people who get dirty, heavy lifting, heavy drinkers, womanizers, sometimes potential drug takers. It varies. Then obviously as the tiers go down, it gets a little bit less and less. So you've got the carpenters and the plumbers and the electricians, and they start getting a little bit more sensible and family orientated good people. We are the pond life, we are the bricklayers, scaffolders, roofers, groundworkers, whatever, we're at the top end. So we're always up for a little bit of fun. Now one day these guys kind of teamed up with us and they said, look, we've got an apprentice. He's hard as nails but he's thick as pig shit. We've got a plan. And one of the guys revealed this, I think it was his sister-in-law's bridesmaid's outfit. You know, it was like a pink blancmange, gypsy-esque type thing with a bell bottom and a tiara to match. So, after a few kind of casual Scooby-Doo-esque type whisperings in each other's ears about what the big plan was, ahead we went. The guys called him over to the van. So he went walking over to the van, enter the 4 bricklayers who grabbed hold of his back and kicked him up the arse into the back of the van. He then got dragged in by the scaffolders, the doors shut, and the guy in the front put his foot down and started to drive. While we were in the back with him, there was 2 guys holding his arms, 2 guys holding his legs, and 1 guy, typically bloody me, who had to strip him down to nothing. We took every last item of clothing off till he was naked as the day he was born. Drove him out into the middle of Birmingham city centre, where it was very busy at this time because it was a Saturday, so people were out doing their shopping, going to buy clothes, whatever, just out for a general day out. What they wasn't expecting was from the doors of a transit van to be opened at the side and some great big hulking 17-stone skinhead guy to be kicked out stark bollock naked and a pink blancmange bridesmaid's dress thrown in his face. Doors shut, see you back at sight. And that was it. The guy had no alternative. He had to put on the bridesmaid's dress and walk down the busy areas of Birmingham city centre, tolerating the endless horns of cars and people shouting proposals at him. It was legendary, it was genius, it was one of the most disgraceful acts of practical jokeism, but it was just fun. And that's what I say, I've got a sense of humour, I've got a funny side, I don't mind, I'd like to think that comes across in my videos, that I can have a laugh at my own expense and everybody else's. So, boys, as they say, will be boys. Apocalypse done.